Hi, this is Michelle River for Erie River Publishing, and we are here today to celebrate the launch event for our newest collection, Last Stop. And this was actually a collection that came to Erie River. It had already been kind of decided, headed by the project manager, David Green. So we're going to bring him up to chit chat about it a little bit. But Erie River, for those that don't know already, we are a small publishing house based out of Southern Ontario. I am Canadian. I am the owner and the operator. And you can find us on Facebook right here. We are also on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok if you're a weirdo like me. So now to bring up David. Here he comes. And he's ready.
How's it going?
I didn't even ask. I
was just laughing how you just decided to say that you were Canadian. So I'm Canadian.
I don't, sometimes there are people in this world that plan things out. And they have scripts. Sorry, my glasses are wonky. And they have scripts and they're very meticulous. And I just, I go with the flow. And apparently that was my flow today, is to be like, hey, by the way, guys, I'm Canadian.
It was nice. It was a nice touch. I liked it.
It was just, I felt like we have so many different people here from all over the world. I felt like I needed to represent Canada at the same time.
Even though... a big flag behind it. Sorry, I think my son has decided to change what room he's sleeping in, or an elephant has just rampaged in my upstairs of my house. Either one, but I'm not going to go and check.
Don't. It could be a ghost.
It could well be. It could be.
Because that stuff happens.
It does. It does.
It does. Now you put together. Tell me a little bit about what we're talking about. Last Stop. You put together this brilliant collection. Tell me about it.
It's finally out. I think it was about this time last year that we actually started working on it. And it's had about 3 or 4 different names. It's great. It's great that it's out. It's brilliant that it came out with Erie River, because for a variety of reasons, like you're great. You really help promote all the stuff. You do great covers. The inside of the book looks fantastic as well. It gets a really good edit from Simone this time that did it. It's great. It's it's been a long time since we started it. But
from conception to actual birth did take like some actual time.
It did.
But all the greatest things in the world do.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, the actual writing of it was really, really plain sailing. Like, there was straight away from, like, we're going to have a few of the authors on today with us from the team. There's 12 and 13, including myself. With these kind of things, you can sometimes get people dropping out of them, or people just not struggling with the topic or whatever, or not driving with everyone else. But I'd done one before this, which was a sci-fi one, and again, it was a good process, but there was a lot of trying to get people on the same page with things and making sure things fit together. Whereas this one, it was just like everyone kind of just understood it straight away.
Everyone really kind of meshed and like got the vibe.
Yeah. Really got the vibe of it, and because that was the thing with this one, it was because there was a lot of these. Like, obviously, I did a sci-fi one, and then there was kind of like there was a few other like these projects kind of popping up, and I was like, why is no one? Well, there was another reason as well, which we might probably talk about in a bit, but I was like, why is no one doing a horror one, like a really like kind of extreme, hard kind of horror? And so that was, I thought, well, why not do it? And that was the kind of vibe. Yeah, that was the vibe, and that was the kind of it wasn't really the first idea. The first idea was kind of just to use something else that was already existed, which we'll probably talk about in a bit. But no, I was really happy with the team that came together for it, and yeah, like it was a really, really smooth writing process. Like when we got the first drafts in, and then everyone kind of sat down and read them and did notes and stuff. Like a lot of them, there was very little kind of this doesn't work or this doesn't fit with mine or anything. It was all like more I love this. Can I use this and borrow it and put it in my story and all this kind of stuff, which was great.
That's really awesome when you can get because all of these authors are completely different. Like their writing style is different, their voices are different, which is great. But to get everyone together to like be on the same page is a feat in itself. And I know because I've done it, and it's just like, oh my goodness, how is this going to ever work? So it's amazing that you got all these people together and everyone kind of had the same vision going in of like what you wanted the story to be. So it's fantastic to see it all come together and actually be released. And it's so exciting. We've got a couple people saying hello already. So we've got Neen. Hello, Neen from Australia. Again, mentioning where they're from.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh, and she also wants to say good morning to David.
Oh, hello.
And then yay for Canada. That's Peter. He's also another author from the book and also a Canadian. So
also Canadian, yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got an ahoy from Tim.
Ahoy. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. If you are here watching, because I know a couple of people are watching, please feel free to make a comment, say hi. Anytime you comment during this live broadcast. Oh, and then someone from Denmark. We are going around the world today.
He's not from Denmark.
Well, no, I am just reading captions here.
He is telling lies.
He's a liar. But yeah, so feel free to make a comment just to say hi, because we are going to be drawing names at the end for a little ebook prize kit, and then we're having another one of these live events in 2 weeks, and we'll be pulling after that we'll be pulling both names, a collection of names from both of them, to do a grand prize, which will be a book and a little bit of swag. So thank you everybody for being here. Oh, and we've got hi Dave. We have a Dave Jeffrey here as well, and then Mark. Hi, all from France. Now I don't know if I believe people when they tell me where they're from. Then Tim.
That's definitely true.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, it's exciting to see so many people come together. You have 13 authors, including yourself in this. So there's 13 chapters, and there's also some little postcards. That's what we're calling them. We're calling them like postcards. So are they exactly 100 words? I can't quite remember.
No, because we didn't want to just limit it to a hunt to be a drabble. So we were like, if it wants to be less than 100 words or if it wants to be more, but it's basically just needed to be a page.
Yeah, so just like a little snippet of a story.
Yeah. So
like a little letter.
I can't remember it wasn't me that came up with the actual idea. It's called like a postcard. It may have been Beth who's on there. Well, it was basically that's because I call them like postcards from Pete's, from Whiskey Pete's.
Yeah.
And it'd just be like, just something that's maybe kind of like a little aside from one of the stories already, because like so we have like these regular characters called what we call the Whiskey Pete's regulars, which are they pop up in everyone's stories, and it's these cast of characters, and that was the first thing that was kind of created for them. And they have like a backstory and a name, and we have like a document with all like this kind of weird stuff about them all. And one of the characters is called Joel, who is like loves playing pool, but he's absolutely terrible at it. And so
he's like me.
But he always ends up like kind of challenging people in the story to play pool, and gets just like absolutely hammered at it. And so Peter Foote did one of the postcards, and it's a postcard from a response to him at some point in his life trying to get into the pool championships, and like the response is like, you're not good enough.
You gotta enjoy like the running. Oh my gosh, what did I do? The running jokes in the story though between the authors though, and that you can bring those personalities to the characters. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's good. It was a lot of fun, and the characters. I think that was when I kind of asked people if they were interested in it. It was the first thing that I sent to them was these characters, for that are in Whiskey Pete's, and it was, and I think that's what kind of one of the things that kind of drew the authors to it, because I think they just enjoyed these weird people that are in Whiskey Pete's, and and that's a really easy way to kind of get everyone to link into this shared world, because it's kind of like Whiskey Pete's, the place where the motel in Last Stop is a weird place, and the people that are in there are even weirder. So like, the place, the geography, and the layout of the bar can change because it's just because of the story reasons. But these people are always there, so it was a very easy way to go. Like, just use the characters.
Yeah. No, I like that. Well, enough almost talking about it. Why don't you tell us about the story? So
Yeah.
what is this?
What is it? Well, it is a motel road trip horror anthology that's set in the Nick Halloran universe. So that was the first thing, which was we kind of looked at, was like, actually no, it wasn't the first thing. I had the idea of it, and then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that, because it's kind of like tooting my own horn kind of thing. It's like, cool, so I was like, no. So I had this kind of like in the back of my mind, and I was like, create the characters, not this. And then like other people in the group were like, we should put this in the Nick Halloran universe. And I was like, that's a good idea.
I like how you kind of like swayed everyone to be like, oh yeah, Nick, that's a good idea. We should add Nick into this here.
Yeah. So that was great. So it's a prequel to Dead Man Walking.
Yeah.
And it's mentioned.
But it's definitely not an urban fantasy where Nick Halloran it does have horror elements in it. That's urban fantasy. This one is definitely swayed more to
Definitely. I mean, some of the chapters are absolutely horrific. Some of them, the one that opens after the prologue, which is by Mr.
Which is our sneak peek, where I had to put all the trigger warnings. Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah. It's a very dark chapter. There's a lot of humor. But yeah, but basically that's it. So basically, it's there is this old Route 13, so it's not the one. That's not the real Route 13. It's an old one that's been abandoned. That's in Idaho, and there's on this place. There's like nestled in this forest. There's a place called Whiskey Pete's, which is a motel, bar, and restaurant, which has these characters that are always there, and it's set in different months with a different set of people finding Whiskey Pete's for one reason or another, and what happens to them. Not a lot of good things, to be fair, but it's entertaining, it's horror, it's funny as well. I think it's really funny. I mean, some of them, just to give one in particular a shout out, V.A. Vasquez's chapter is just absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
So like there's a lot of elements in it. There is like Nick Halloran's in it, and there's some other people, so there's other elements in it, but underneath all of it is really hard extreme horror. So
I think a lot of people are going to like it. So I'm going to, without any further ado, I'm going to leave you to actually read the prologue, and then we're going to bounce into a couple of the authors that are here. And did I invite the authors up yet? No, we didn't, did we? Okay, let's just say hi to everyone first.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm bringing Patrick up first. Sorry. And then Beth. Hi, guys. Little D. Emery.
Hello.
Dave is so distracting.
Thank you.
But thank you everyone for coming. I really enjoyed how you guys all built this like cohesive world with this story and this collection. I think you guys all did a really phenomenal job putting it together. Did anyone have any headbutting with David that they'd like to talk about now? Like, now that we're live, you can't really, I can mute him.
Yeah, mute me. Yeah.
It was surprisingly smooth.
That's That's perfect.
It was. I mean, I've seen a lot of drama unfold over the past couple of years in the writing world, and it was just a relief. Like, wow, nobody has his or her panties in a bunch over anything. There's a real esprit de corps.
That's perfect.
I mean, I don't know what the rest of you guys were saying behind my back, but I thought.
The only drama for me was completely on my side of it. I think, Dave, I messaged you at least once or twice saying, I don't know if I can do this.
And then you did.
Yeah.
We did a great chapter as well. Like, and it's a great, your chapter is just this. I remember reading it and just thinking, this is really horrible.
This is really horrible. In the best perfect way. Like, that's what you mean, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'll take that. Thank you.
Well, I'm excited to have you guys all here, and thank you so much for joining us. I am going to now go say goodbye now that I said hi and let other people say hi to you. And we're going to bring you up one at a time right after the prologue, okay? And then we'll chit chat a little about your inspiration and the characters that are in it. So again, I will see you in a little bit. And I'm even going to remove myself so you can like stop seeing this mug. All right, have fun.
I will always. Okay, so the prologue is called "A Place You'll Never Leave," and it's very short. It just kind of sets the tone of Whiskey Pete's, which is and Route 13, which is where most of the action takes place. Although some of it spreads all over America and Canada at some parts as well. So I hope you enjoy it. You ever heard of it? Route 13? No, not the one in North Carolina. The real one. You won't find it on no map. Won't come across no tourist guides urging you to travel it. Oh no, not old Route 13. You dig around though. You unearth secrets best left buried, best left forgotten. But you're a curious sort. Can tell by the twinkle in your eye. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what you might find. Our Route 13 runs through Idaho, a winding, forgotten dirt road making its way past a one-horse town called Chevron and a canyon of ill repute named Devil's Ladder. Yeah, you heard me. Devil's Ladder. Country's that kind of place. Let's say some godforsaken urge takes you, makes you drive that road. You'll come across a place eventually. It'll find you when the time's right. Don't you worry about that. Name of Whiskey Pete's. Looks like any old bar and motel stranded alongside a road in the middle of nowhere, till you peer a little closer. I suggest you do. Take a real good look at it, and then get back in your vehicle and keep right on trucking. Say you don't. Say you've taken leave of your senses and you take a stroll inside. I'd put every goddamn thing I own on you meeting this cast of characters. Con Muldoon, barkeep and grunter extraordinaire. Lorne W. Peterson, Canadian shopkeep, has a name tag reading Dale. No one knows why. Young Joel Masterson. Inspect that one. All's not what a first glance might tell you. Old Melvin Washington. Some say he knew his more famous namesake, not least himself. Last, but not least, Stacey Jenkins. Well, the less said about her, the better. Now, let's say you wandered on in there, laid eyes on the folk I just mentioned. You hightail it out of there and don't ever think going back. Don't stop till your ride's running on fumes. That's my advice given free. Take it or leave it. It's the kind of joint where time don't run straight. Things, places, names, even the goddamn furniture don't act the way they're supposed to. It changes. Twists like it's molding itself to whatever in your noggin. Fitting into memories best left forgotten. Just like Whiskey Pete's. How'd I know about Whiskey Pete's on Route 13? Now you're asking the right questions. It's not a place the unlucky folk who darken its door often leave. And if you're fortunate to get out, never make the mistake of thinking you escaped. Their reach is long. No one ever really leaves Whiskey Pete's. And that is the prologue. And the first chapter is Pat Winters.
It is.
It is. He is American.
He is American. So that's 3 whole countries.
Yes.
Done. Okay. Well, thank you for that riveting opening.
Thank you.
We are all ready. So maybe I did put something in my coffee. All right, so I'm going to say goodbye for now, and we are going to bring up Patrick, who's going to chit chat a little bit about their chapter. Hey.
Hello again.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good.
Yes, I am American. I am putting the ill in Illinois right now.
The ill in Illinois. You're not feeling well?
No, I live in Illinois. I thought that was a given.
I tend not to judge. I try not to judge.
It's Illinois. You can judge.
I can judge. Okay,
we judge.
We all judge. That's true. So you are the lucky one that actually has the very first chapter in this, and you actually have a physical copy.
That's what you're going with. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm doing my Vanna White moment for you. Sorry.
Yeah. Don't apologize. Do it again and show me all the sides.
Ooh.
Oh.
Pages. Books have pages.
It does.
Every side you asked for.
I know. And the spine? The spine?
The spine. How could I forget the spine? That's
perfect. Amazing. That actually looks really cool. I still have not got mine because, of course, Canada. But beyond that, it looks like a really great book. And you, again, have the lucky not only to be the first person to actually get it in your hands, but actually has the first chapter in the book.
Yes, indeed.
So when Dave approached you and asked you to write this, you said you weren't necessarily sure you could do it. Is that wrap your heads around the characters or?
Yeah, this was actually my first involvement in an anthology of this sort with a shared world and working with others to this capacity. So that was both very interesting to me, but also very daunting. And when it came to the actual writing process, certain things going on in my life that made it difficult. Part of this story was written while I was in the hospital recovering from surgery.
Yeah.
So put me in a unique mindset to write a horror story.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad you're doing better. You're out of the hospital at least.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that you're doing better because I'm not, and we don't need to talk about that. But the idea of being in like a shared world and getting your mind wrapped around something that we're like, okay, it's not necessarily my world, but I have to create characters in it is really hard because it's totally, for a lot of people, out of their comfort zone. So
absolutely.
I completely understand why it would be kind of like, how do I do this properly? But you did a great job, and I know a lot of people are going to enjoy it. And we've already had some people comment on the story itself. So, because again, we've got it as our sneak peek chapter up on our blog. But I would love to hear a little bit of the story, and then we can talk about maybe, or do you want to talk a little bit about these characters before you delve into it?
I could talk a little bit.
Just a little.
Yeah, really, I just wanted to write a story about a couple who is just trying to hold on to what they've got. It doesn't make a difference if they make it or not. They've got each other, and that's a lot. And for love, they'll give it a shot. They're living on a prayer, if you will.
Yeah, I like that.
Sorry, that was really stupid.
It was, but it was beautiful.
Thank you.
And classic. So I'm going to let you read.
All right.
So I'm going to take myself out of the screen, and then I'll come back in a little bit and just say hi again. All right.
Thank you.
Take it away. You're welcome.
Okay, so yes, as said, I had the honor of having the first story in this book after David's prologue, and it is entitled Nia and Jamie, and I will be reading the first section of my story for you. Hope you enjoy. Nia and Jamie. It was 2:07 a.m., and Jamie was getting jittery as hell. He twisted his head around, glaring out the back window and scanning the street, looking over all the neighboring house fronts with a wary eye. Households were quiet all along the block, not a single porch light on and nary a glow in any window where an insomniac or night owl could be staring out from, taking note of the young man sitting in his car. But darkness keeps secrets well. Maybe someone was watching him, peeking out through a curtain, hiding away in the dark. He eased back into his seat, staring up to Nia's second-floor window, urging it to open and for her to come out. Come on, baby. He was getting so paranoid even the thoughts in his head were whispering, "Where are you?" Jamie forced himself to loosen his death grip on the steering wheel of his '77 Aspen. Another minute passed, or several, and he was starting to sweat up a storm. He ground his teeth and wiped an arm across his forehead. He debated rolling down the window, arguing with himself as to whether the whirring of the glass could wake the neighbors. He finally found the nerve and put the front windows all the way down. A slight breeze wafted in, cooling and calming him some. Not nearly enough. They found out. Her folks have got her locked up tight. Daddy probably called his buddies on the force. They've got squad cars coming over right now, ready to drag your ass away. He could hear the echo of their sirens now, ringing through the fear, closing in on him. His hands started wringing the steering wheel again, and that voice in his head grew traitorous. Go, now. Forget this crazy idea and get the fuck out of Dodge. Jamie strong-armed that thought away, shaking his head. Fuck that. Fuck what? The whisper from his right set a chill down his spine, and he whipped his head around to see who had discovered him. His dread washed away when he saw it was Nia, looking in at him with a bemused smile on that gorgeous face. Jamie gave a nervous laugh. Geez, babe, you about scared the shit out of me. Nia tossed a bulging duffel bag through the window. It smacked against Jamie, and he set it in the back seat as Nia slipped into the passenger side. She was careful to ease the door closed, quiet as possible. What took you so long? Jamie's concern was cut off as Nia slid up to him and kissed him full on the lips. Her embrace instantly worked its magic on him, as only hers ever could. The tension in his muscles eased, his fears crawled back into their dark hideaways, and any doubts of what they planned to do were cast aside, if only for this one serene moment. This feeling between them. This was what they were fighting to keep alive, what they would ensure was theirs at the cost they were about to pay. And to preserve that blissful bond, the cost was well worth it. Jamie pulled Nia in closer, holding the kiss a moment longer. When she pulled away, he was left wanting more. Sorry I'm late, she whispered. I thought I heard Dad down in the kitchen. Didn't want to risk coming out until he was back in bed. Jamie set a hand on her forearm, rubbing at it gently. For a minute there, I was thinking we were done for. No way, Nia said, setting her hand on his. Jamie found some extra resolve in how steady and gentle that touch was. We're just getting started. They shared another quick kiss, a peck of reassurance, before Nia slid back and buckled herself in. Jamie started up the car, jaw rigid with renewed anxiety as the engine grumbled to life. He put the car in gear and slowly pulled it away from the curb, keeping his headlights off until the next block. Okay, Jamie sighed, eyes darting about as he drove. Here we go. Nia gave him a small smile of confidence, but as she left behind the only home she'd ever known, Jamie saw that smile fall away, and she looked out to the dark night with uncertainty on her beautiful face.
Sorry, I'm right here.
I was alone. I was scared.
I know. I was like, wait. Great reading. I love the vibe that you have between these characters. Like reading the story was just, for me, I just really loved just their story. And I hope other people really appreciate what you do to them.
Oh, who knows? I mean, maybe not.
It's horror. I hope they do.
Yeah.
That's really great. Well, thank you so much for reading and for being here. And we will see you in just a little bit after we're going to do some questions to answer at the very end. So, I'll see you in a little bit. All right. Thanks. All right, so up next, we are bringing up Beth. Now, again, if anybody is viewing now live, please take a moment, say hi in the comments. We are going to be putting names in a draw for ebook prize pack. And then in 2 weeks, when we do our next live event, we're going to put all the names together for people who have commented either during the live event or after when it's on a rerun, and pulling for a grand prize bag. So we've got a couple more people saying hi. Josiah, hello. And Callum, hello. And it was brilliant, great voice for this world. And Rachel, can't wait to read this. There we go. David is even better looking in the flesh. We all love David, don't we? Okay. All right, Beth, are you ready? Oh, we've got another person from France. Unless, oh, wait, sorry. There we go. Hi, Karen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And Beth, are you, I'm putting you on.
Yep, I'm ready.
I'm like, we're doing it. Right.
All right.
That's perfect. So what was your experience when they like approached you and were like, hey, I'm doing this thing. You want to join?
I said, let me think about it. Sure. I mean, I loved the idea from the moment. And a lot of times I have to spend a lot of time on the road. My day job is actually playing music. And so I find it secretly hilarious that if my writing doesn't get anywhere, at least I have my music to fall back on. I find that way funnier than it probably deserves to be.
I think it's hilarious.
So he planted the seed in my head. And then when I got all the background and the world that he had created, it was really impressive how much work he had put into it. Like what a really strong foundation. Yeah. He'd obviously put a lot of love into it. And that just made me want to do as good a job as humanly possible. And not only for him, but for the other writers. So it got me thinking out of the box a little bit. I'd started with a draft and I was like, this is falling short. I don't know what's wrong. And I started watching Ozarka. I was binge watching Ozarka with my husband. And I realized, just like with non-horror stories, if you've got a more likable character, your main character must have a flaw. And what was interesting was it was the other way around with Ozarka. I didn't find any of the characters particularly likable, but they all had some redeeming qualities. Even the most despicable ones had one good thing about them.
Just one.
Yeah, or at least one that I could see.
Yeah.
So we're going for the lighting is terrible in my new house. And so since we're doing horror, we might have to go for the shaky camera effect here.
That's all right. Let's do it.
All right. So that got me thinking. And so I kind of gave it a facelift. When I travel, I sometimes stay with my friends, Bill Fawcett and Jody Lynn Nye, who are heavy hitters in the sci-fi and fantasy world. And Bill just pointed out, he said, with writing despicable characters, he said, you don't necessarily have to like the characters, but you have to care about what happens to them.
Yeah.
And I realized what a huge difference that was. And so
absolutely. You have to be able to, yes, care just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
That you can, yeah, because if you can't care, like you can't follow through the story. So
yeah,
I like the way you're.
Yeah, it's like, otherwise, this is a despicable character. Tommy used to work on the dock. Then he went to repeat. He died. The end.
Yeah.
There needs to be some tension.
Exactly. Okay, I am going to let you just kind of go for it. And you're going to read a little bit of your snippet, and maybe we'll come back for a little bit. So,
all right. Can I also, since I got a small snippet to leave room for one of the postcards written by my friend Missy Mooney.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just tell me when you want me to come back on. But by all means, if read a little bit of, decide how you want to do it. Either read yours first or read the postcard first.
I'll go with whatever is on top of this little stack of papers.
Sounds perfect.
All right.
All right. Have fun.
All right. So this is one of the postcards. The postcards was not my idea, but I liked it, and I got my friend Missy Mooney, who goes by Kim Trails in the band The Tomb of Nick Cage. We got together and wrote a song to accompany the book. And what we're doing is we're giving away free downloads of a special edition of the song from now until the end of November for anybody who buys the book. So I got her to write a postcard from the point of her band's perspective. So it's The Tomb of Nick Cage by Missy Mooney. Hey, Tanner, I have some bad news about that Idaho gig, and you're just going to have to understand. You know, The Tomb of Nick Cage normally doesn't pass up an opportunity, but you should have known something was wrong when you booked it. That dude over at Whiskey Pete sounded way shady and only gave us a landline contact. WTF. The guarantee sounded sweet, but when we started down Route 13, I swear it got so foggy we could barely see. The trees looked weird, man. There was something trailing the van that made a god-awful yipping. When we finally slowed by the venue, there was nobody there except for an old dude in red overalls standing by the pumps. That was it, you know? No service out here, and I honestly don't want to talk about it. Sorry again, but no way. Kim Trails. So that's her postcard. And this is just a snippet from my chapter. Day 2 was dismal all around. Mickey and the 3 pledges were hungover and twice as unhappy to remember that they were officially broke, if not also potential fugitives. One by one, they filed out of the room and into the lobby to see what sort of money they could earn. Lauren seemed even less thrilled to have them staying longer than they were, but weighed their words. Well, you can always work off your room and board, and we might even be able to give you some gas money or extra gas money if you do good, he said at long last. We always need firewood for the furnace under this joint. He pointed to a trapdoor in the floor. That opens up to some stairs that'll take you right down to the tunnels. The pile of rubble in the rear of the shop looked even less promising. It included one chainsaw that looked like it had seen better days, a heavy axe with some ominous-looking notches along the blade, and a dolly that didn't seem like it would be much use carrying any cut wood. Mickey suggested the 4 load up the back of Chip's prized Hummer. Chip was deeply unhappy about this, so Mickey had no problem reminding him his fraternal fealty. Bruce was examining the axe blade, trying to not look at the ancient blunderbuss in the farthest corner, hoping the others hadn't seen it. Ever think of shooting for the pot? Croaked a familiar voice. Bruce hadn't even seen Melvin approaching the group, and the old man's stealth unnerved him. You ain't interested in hunting? Easy way to get food, and we can roast up anything on a spit near the furnace. We sure could use a better source of protein than what the visitors usually deliver. The young man shook his head, avoiding Melvin's eyes. So we loves us some critters, do we? What would you do if you were alone in the woods and a unicorn came charging straight for you? That's easy, Bruce guffawed, more in relief at having something better to argue about. Nothing, because there's no such thing as unicorns. Exactly, crowed Melvin. They went extinct centuries ago. You ever seen horses fight? Bruce gave a slow nod. Now imagine that them stallions have long, sharp horns on their heads. One's going to walk away alive and the other's going to walk away dead. They got too good at fighting over who was going to procreate, and even the stallions that prevailed didn't survive their injuries for long. Soon there was no one making babies, or they all became inbred and sterile. Whole population wiped itself off in the 4th century. It was so plausible a reason for extinction that Bruce almost wanted to believe it. There ain't nothing wrong with having a soft spot for animals. It shows you got empathy. It doesn't serve any purpose in the real world, Bruce began, but the words died on his tongue as he took in his surroundings, with the harsh winter landscape and the very real possibility of going to extremes for survival. You know what critters could use your help? The ones that ain't got no medicines. You could return the drugs. Just let us have the guy in the baseball cap. Unnerved, the young man jammed his hands into his pockets and turned to walk away. But something still compelled him to spin around to face Melvin. Just a minute. If unicorns really existed and only went extinct less than a couple of millennia ago, then why hasn't anyone found any bones or fossils? You know, like with dinosaurs. The old man bent over double, wheezing. You don't believe in unicorns, but you buy into that shit about dinosaurs? You better go back to school. Bruce was furious at having his intelligence insulted by a lunatic who looked like a living mummy. He glared around the shop, looking for some sort of tool to use on the money-earning mission. They landed on Mickey, who emerged from the corner, sniffing hard. Bruce decided that no matter what Mickey heard, there was nothing with which to incriminate him. After all, he had not audibly concurred with Melvin's suggestion. He closed his fingers around a hacksaw and tried not to imagine how good it would feel to sever their ringleader's head from his fat neck with it. And that's my little part. I thought out of context would increase the mystique.
I know, it was great. I love how you did all the different character voices. I need to know, are these based on real life people?
One of them definitely is.
Yeah.
As you can tell, it's not based on somebody I particularly like. So I had to rein myself in a little bit. I actually had to use my imagination to give that person redeeming qualities. That was a lot of it. It's a good way to just kind of channel things, unresolved issues or nightmares or things, sort of a way to compartmentalize these things, reduce them to fiction, and then put them on a shelf. There is, I will say that it's a fraternity dude and 3 pledges, and so the premise is that instead of them having to do the hazing or anything like that, he's going to get these guys to basically do his bidding for this road trip. And the fictional fraternity is Pi Tau Sigma Alpha, or PTSA, because I never did the sorority thing when I was in college. I had gigs and I wasn't interested, but a lot of them tend to just sound out the way the letters fall together. And so if you try to make it sound like a word, it comes out like I imagine that they would say putsa, which is a Greek obscenity in real Greek, not just, it's one of my friends, Greek Australian friends, I get her going on that. She's like, I hate that word. Don't say putsa. Except that she go putsa in her Greek voice. She hates that, which of course it gives me just invites me to say it in front of her every chance I get.
Of course.
So sorry, Jules, I used the word.
Well, thank you so much for reading. I really enjoyed these characters, and like your chapter is so fun. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I hope everyone else does too. So we will talk to you in just a little bit, and I'm going to bring up LT Emery next. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Always trying to hit the right button, not like kick myself out by accident. Okay, are you ready? Okay, I'm getting thumbs up, so that means no. I mean, yes.
Hello again.
Hi. How are you doing today?
Well, I think next time we do one of these, I have to go after. I need to go before Beth because she's just too good.
Are you not doing accents? Is that what I'm hearing?
I can try, but they won't be very good.
Well, now I'm demanding it.
Oh,
no. Okay. So you were invited, obviously. I'm assuming you were invited to this collection. What was
I just jumped in and insisted I was doing it.
Like, excuse me, I'm writing for this. So what was your initial kind of thoughts on the whole project? And
to be honest, I was quite surprised when David even invited me, because at that point I hadn't really had much published. So I was like, how's he seen all this? How's he seen anything of mine? And why does he think it's good enough to join this? So, it was great being invited. But I think for me, the first thought I had was like, I've got to get someone to this joint in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, how can I do that? Mm-hmm. For some reason, I just saw an abandoned baby wrapped in a Whiskey Pete's t-shirt. And how did she get from Whiskey Pete's? And I thought, I want to explore, her leaving and then trying to find it and getting back to it. So it all sort of developed there, and then sort of me and David discussed and chatted about some ideas, and this is what we got.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a heavy way to start. You definitely didn't go with like some sort of light topic.
It's a horror.
It's very true. It is. I would be upset if it was like some beautiful rainbow story.
I could have got it. I could have got best unicorn. You threw that in.
Very true. We've already got a unicorn. Do we really need any other lightness? All right, let's go. So I'm going to get you to, you've already kind of introduced the story. So I'm going to get you to start reading a little bit, and then we will chit chat, and then I'm going to bring everyone back. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and we will try to get to them at the end. So thank you again, and enjoy your reading.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is titled Zia. Working at Haven Chronicles, I often get juicy tips on stories sent my way. Most of the time, they're from nut jobs looking for 5 minutes of fame. Just last week, I had one wacko email me a picture of a piece of shit. I kid you not, an actual turd. All because he thought he saw Jesus in it. I guess it just goes to show some guys can see meaning in any old bullshit. Honestly, you wouldn't believe the stuff that hits my inbox. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. All of this stuff comes in via email, and that's why this tip got my attention. Manila envelope sat on my very cluttered desk. It's an organised mess, I like to tell myself. Had my name and the address of Haven Chronicles, but no postmark telling me where it originated. Hey, anyone seen where this came from? I shouted to the bullpen, waving the envelope. The news fairy? Quipped Dylan Myers, our resident junior photographer. Zip it, Myers. Everyone else just shrugged their shoulders or shook their heads. Unperturbed, I cracked open the envelope and pulled out a bunch of old newspaper clippings, which I immediately dropped. Something felt off with them. People shouldn't be cold to the touch, but these were. It was like they were shrouded in shadow. My curiosity got the better of me, and I scanned them. Mostly they were small stories, nothing front page. What the boss likes to call filler. Only this was anything but filler. They were all about missing persons or bodies found mutilated. One read, missing lover's car found, while another read, podcasters missing in Devil's Ladder area. Stories had one thing in common. They all took place in or around Devil's Ladder over in Idaho. My interest was piqued. So many mysterious, I want to say crimes, but I didn't know that for sure. So many unexplained events, all of them in one region, was odd. The bigger question was, why send this stuff to me? Haven's about 400 miles from Devil's Ladder. The story was way out of my territory. I cover Haven, Portland, the surrounding areas, the whole of Oregon at a push. The reporter in me knew this could be a big story. If all of these events were connected somehow, we could be in for a scoop. I had a hunch about them, and I wanted to know more. It was worth the 8-hour drive to go, take a look around, ask some questions, and see what I could dig up. There's only one thing for it. Take it to the boss. Boss, I said, barging into Davey Teague's office without knocking. My editor looked up, throwing his hands in the air, exasperated. How many times have I got to tell you to knock first, Zia? Not now, boss. I think I have something. I sat down and showed him the stories of the envelope and walked him through my thoughts and finally asked him for permission to go down to snoop around a bit. A couple of days max. If I came back empty-handed, I'd come back. The paper would be out some gas money and a night in a cheap motel. But if I found something, we could have a big story and even bigger sales numbers. No, not happening, Davey said with complete finality. But no, Zia, you nearly got yourself killed the last time you got a hunch like this. That was different. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have been following around a known mobster. But in my defense, when a PI gets shot, left for dead, and looked around and switched to a whisper. When a PI gets shot, left for dead, and there's some weird glowy light where he got shot and only I can see it, how could I not do some digging? The only thing you dug was your own grave. Your lucky wheeler missed, or you'd have ended up like your PI. Chill out, boss. I'm fine, aren't I? And anyway, this time will be different. I'm just going to walk a trail, ask some locals about the area. I won't be taking on the mob. Could understand his reluctance, and to be honest, I'm still touched by it. He's the closest thing I have to a father figure. He took me in when I was 16. I was shoplifting Slim Jims from a convenience store and got caught. He stepped in, said I was with him and paid the teller. No, I'm done. I was scraggly back then, on the run. I've been passed around foster homes all my life. I'm an orphan, see. At least I think I am. I was dumped, wrapped in a T-shirt from some saloon somewhere. I've looked for the joint a bunch of times. I figure if I find the bar, I might track down my parents, my family. Never have found it, though. Anyway, Davey put his arm around me like I was his daughter, and we walked out the store. Outside, he talked to me, not like I was some homeless kid on the run from the latest shitty foster home, the latest shitty foster family who liked to settle things with fists instead of words. He spoke to me like I was an adult. He was the first person to talk to me like an equal, and I listened. I talked back. He offered me a job at the paper, well, an unpaid internship, but he also offered me a spare room and food and clothing. No idea why he took me in. Maybe because he'd never had a family of his own. Maybe he saw a bit of himself in me. I don't know. But I stayed and I grew and I became a pretty decent journalist and I got a place of my own. I guess what I'm saying is Davey gave me a life and I'll always be under his wing in some small way. Davey sighed and sunk down into his chair. You're going to go anyway, aren't you? Gave him a big Cheshire Cat grin. Fine, he said with the merest of smiles forming in the corners of his mouth. But you're taking Myers with you. Boss! I yelled, I can't take the kid. You want to go? Yes. Well, Myers is going too. That's the deal. Besides, you're going to need pictures if this amounts to something. That's the end of my section. You're on
That
mute.
was awesome. Now you can hear me. Great story. I really love the concept that you came up with this and the characters you've got in there. Even with the accents, it was very well done.
I don't know what an Idaho accent is. That's my defense.
Yeah. No, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed that story. So I'm glad that David asked you.
So am I.
Yeah.
Oh, we've all got to be thankful to him, haven't we?
It's always exciting to get to see like this. The same thing with anthologies. You get so many different kind of takes on all of these different stories and themes. And even though that this is a collection where everything is connected, everyone's voice still stands out. And I think that's the most important part, is that everyone's story is unique to themselves and so are their characters. And I just really enjoyed where you kind of came from on this story. So well done. And we're going to bring everybody back up now. So everyone get ready. Dave, put your phone down.
I was just.
Oh, sorry.
I was just playing on my Harry Potter games.
Yeah, everyone's playing on their phone. Well, thank you guys, everyone, for being here. If anyone has any questions in the comments, please feel free to write anything. In the meantime, I'm kind of curious because I haven't talked to a lot of you before, very many times at least. What are your writing rituals? I find it always so unique how everyone like goes about writing differently. So we'll start with the one that we just left, LT Emery.
I just write whenever I can. You know, with a 2-year-old, Dave, you've got a little one as well, and you, Michelle, you both know. Like when you've got a 2-year-old, finding time to do writing is difficult. So, you know, getting her down to bed and then getting a couple of hours writing in the evening, that's sort of my writing time. And then just hit
it's like it's impossible / hell. I mean, / the most amazing thing in the entire world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, most days. I'm joking. So do you have any rituals when you actually start writing, or is it just like scramble when you have 5 seconds?
Well, there's always a story going around in the head. So before I sit down and start writing, I know the section that I'm going to do next from the story I'm going to do next, purely because I've written it in my head 4 or 5 times. And then, you know, you're good to go when you sit down, because, you know, you don't get the free time to play these things.
I do the same
what
thing.
you're actually writing is, you know, you lay in bed at night doing it, or, you know, you work and you do it. You know, you sit at work and your mind goes elsewhere. Instead of listening to the calls that I'm meant to be on, goes into fantasy.
Exactly. How about Patrick? What about you? Do you have any sort of writing rituals?
No, not a whole lot. More often than not, I find myself writing late in the evening, usually when I can't sleep. I tend to just turn on music, put my iPod on shuffle, kind of let the creative juices start flowing, and see what comes to mind.
Very cool. Do you have a like specific playlist, or is it just like anything?
It is anything. I'll just put it on shuffle. Bring Me the Horizon seems to be a good go-to for coming up with some productive stories, and Architects. Anything heavy metal or hard rock usually gets me going.
Very cool. What about you, Beth? Do you have any kind of rituals when you're writing?
Well, yes and no. I must have either lots and lots of caffeine, or it'll be an idea that comes to me just as I'm falling asleep or just as I'm waking up. But I need silence, and I don't know if that's because of doing music for a living, that any kind of sound I'm going to analyze. It's when I usually go to a massage therapist, I tell them no Celtic music, because my main gig is playing Irish music, and so I'm going to analyze it. So I need silence, because of these long drives that I have to do cross country sometimes to get to the gigs that I need. A lot of them these ideas will just sneak up on me, and so I'll just voice to text myself, which is a lot more complicated since we had a flash flood that totaled both our cars. So this new car that I'm taking knows if you're trying to text and drive, if it's synced up in any sort of way with your phone.
Yeah.
So I have to just not rely on GPS for a while so it doesn't tell on me. But I basically voice to text myself, which is funny, trying to decipher my crazy mixed up accent, what voice to text does with it. But I'll just get these ideas, when I'm spending 8 to 10 hours at a time, 8 to 10 hours a day driving. I'll get some pretty wild ideas that way.
I would think so. That much time on the road, man, I would kill a bunch of people in my head if I had 8 hours by myself.
Yeah,
I would murder towns.
I would, usually, it'll be a dead giveaway. It's like, okay, you have to tell us more about your character than what kind of car they drove and license plate.
Oh, I love it. David, what about you? Do you have any writing rituals?
Yeah, I listen to music when I write, like Pat does, and I would kind of, depending on what it is that I'm writing, I'll kind of listen to certain types of music that kind of gives me the kind of same like feeling. That's what I mean. Right, yeah. So like if I'm doing like fancy, I'll listen to like soundtracks or something. For like Nick Holler and stuff, I'll listen to the music that he kind of likes, which is also music that I like, so that's fine.
A lot of Nirvana.
Yeah, Nirvana, the Pixies, and all that kind of stuff. It'd be harder if it was music that I didn't like that he liked, because then I'd be like, why am I listening to this? This is
why did I choose this for him
exactly.
to like?
Yeah. That's pretty much it, really. I just write whenever I can. Like even if it's just like 20 minutes and it's 500 words or something like that, that's 500
it's
more
just
words.
Finding time, right? And actually that brings us into the next question. Someone would like to know if we have any tips for how to find time to write in a busy home life and a full-time work. And I think it's just make the time, right? Like even if the time is 5 minutes, if it's on the road and you're voice to texting. I know middle of the night, 3:00 in the morning, voice to text myself story ideas, and I woke up and I'm like, what the heck is this? But for me,
those are always the craziest.
My grandmother was telling me stories. She went to college with Eudora Welty, and who did not have a good relationship with her family, apparently, and said that Eudora would get up at 5:00 in the morning when the rest of her family was asleep. And that would just be the time she would carve out for herself before anybody could bother her.
Yeah. And I think that's what it is, prioritizing your time when you can. So sometimes that means, for me, especially with publishing, that means I don't do anything but my publishing stuff, like until 3:00 in the morning.
It's maximizing the time as well. So if you have that kind of time that you have, then just like do the most of it. Because like what I've started doing is I'll do kind of like writing sprints. So say I've got like an hour to write, I'll turn off the internet on my computer. I'll turn my phone off, and then I'll just do 20 minutes solid writing. Turn the internet back on so it saves. Reward myself by looking at my phone for like 4 or 5 minutes, and then do another 20 minutes, and just see what happens from that. But it's just like this. It's so easy to get distracted. Like when
removing distractions is hard.
Yeah.
We've got another question. Here is sorry. It's a lot. Brilliant and interesting snapshots. I love David's world building. I know it's easy to get into his worlds, but you also have your room to create your own story. So what was it for each of you that made you say, hey, I have something to say here?
Issues.
My own personal trauma.
Yeah, I've got complete subscription. I have back issues. I have subscriptions. Mine are just issues.
I feel you. Yeah. Did anyone else have like world building their own stories, I guess? Did you have any issues world building your own story, or was it easy to just kind of fall into this world building concept with your characters?
I quite like the fact that we were visiting Nick Hollorand's universe. So I think we probably all read the first story when this came out, when we were sort of approached, and knowing that it was in Nick's world, and like from the premise that Dave gave us, for me, I was like, I read these character bios, and like Joel was like such an idiot, but like funny, and I wanted to write him because he's just an idiot, but he's like you can get some laughs out of him, and like, I think probably everyone in the anthology did, like with Malvin and Con. So I think getting to play with all those characters was really cool, but obviously we all have our own characters that we sort of like love and want to drop in. And sort of, like I said before, the way I thought of Zia was the premise and just wanted to see where that went. So for me, it was the fun of building it within this universe that was already there and sort of making it play, and then adding in all the bits from everyone else's stories. That was a fun bit for me as well.
That's awesome.
I'd have to agree. For me, just especially when it comes to horror fiction, I love stories that tend to focus on either places or items that have a morbid history to them. And with this anthology, that was built into it from the get-go. So it was really easy to dive in to that and get excited about coming up with some part of that history for Whiskey Pete's. Yeah.
I mean, David's world building was so strong. It was like, instead of having to build your own house, here's one that's pre-furnished, and you walk in there and like, hey, but I like the fact that he was open to the fact, well, can we add this? Can we add that detail? And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, he wasn't precious about it. He's like, everybody's welcome to add to this world. And that was really cool.
Very awesome. It sounds like you guys all had like a really fun time stepping into these characters in the shoe and these characters' shoes in this world. So that's awesome. We do have a question for David, it looks like. Was Whiskey Pete originally something you thought of for your main Holleran stories? Or did you always think it was a separate but connected?
No, but kind of. So I think when we kind of came up with the idea of this Dead Man Walking, the original version hadn't come out yet. It was about to come out, I think. Because this was a long time ago. I think it was like October last year that we started working on this. This was just a separate idea at the start. I did have that thing because obviously everyone kind of takes their own character. So I was going to do the last chapter, And I was kind of thinking, well, it might be cool if like Nick is the person that comes in and wraps this story up. But I thought, that might not be great either. But then, as I said before, people in the group were kind of like, maybe it should be Nick. And I was like, oh, okay. So I wrote that. So this was being written, and then I wrote The Devil Walks in Blood after this. So I was able to go back in that book and put, even though it's set years and years later from Whiskey Pete's, there's characters from Luke's chapter that's in The Devil Walks in Blood. There's nods to Whiskey Pete's. There's a few mentions of stuff. When there's a bit where Nick's looking out from a motel at this forest, and he's like, "Oh, I bet there's a cult in that."
Yeah, you definitely put a little things in there that mention this Whiskey Pete's in your Nick Halloran series, which I thought was really kind of cool. So it does definitely tie into it, but it doesn't necessarily.
It's not got the same. It's not got the same tone. Like this, this is like one really kind of bad day of Nick's, really, which is like gone very much into like the
I'm like, which is his whole thing.
His thing, yeah. So it's
one really bad day after the other.
Yeah. So this is Nick Halloran if you strip out all of the fantasy side of those books and just concentrate on the horror.
Just the shitty day.
Yeah, but no, it was good, and it was great going back to write the second one after doing this, because it kind of, especially when the book came out, then everyone on the team read it and were like, "Oh, we like this," because that was the thing as well. It's like if they don't like this book,
you're in trouble.
That was fun. Yeah,
that's excellent. All right, we've got one last question, then we're going to wrap up. So, would any of you want to visit Whiskey Pete's? And thank you, Emily, for giving us this question. Would anyone actually want to visit this amazing bar?
I think so. Yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
It's like,
I'd like to give Joel a game of pool.
Yeah. I was trying to think. I don't know. Well, maybe you guys can say who your favorite of the regulars are, because what was funny when I was kind of going through all the stories that you guys did, everyone focused on different ones of the regulars, but it wasn't like there wasn't everyone just focusing on one of them. They all got the limelight in everyone's stories. Like if you not everyone used all of them, but everyone used enough of them that it was like they kept on popping up. But yeah, I can't really decide which one of those is my favorite, but I'd love to meet them. I think they're so weird. I'd probably die when I got there, but I think it's a price that I'm willing to pay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, of course, because I not only wrote a story, but my friend Missy Mooney, aka Kim Trails, and I wrote an entire song about how stopping there would be a spectacularly bad decision. So, that's burned into my brain. But I kind of took a shine into Melvin, just making him kind of crazy. And Missy loved Lorne. She had this thing for it. She just loved Lorne because she read the book too, so that we could both do the co-write for the song. Mm-hmm. She was stuck on Lorne.
Perfect.
Yeah, Lorne's a good one.
Well, now I know what we're all going to be for Halloween next year.
We're going to be, let me guess, Sexy Con, Sexy Lorne, Sexy Melvin.
That's perfect.
I claim
well,
Sexy
thank
Melvin.
You. Now I heard someone had a dance for us. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for just being here, not just you guys, for the authors for reading and everything, but everyone that's been watching. I do have to pick names. So we have a winner. Let's see who it is. Peter. Peter is our winner. I'm not sure if he's still around, but Peter, you're going to get an ebook little prize pack. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is a great collection of stories, a lot of fun. And we really hope, right now it's still $1.99 for the ebook, USD, but it's also available in paperback and hardcover, and it's on Kindle Unlimited. But we would love your support for our indie authors, as well as the publishing company, and just it's a great story, and we hope you all really, really enjoy it. And again, a beautiful book.
And if you contact me through my music page. The handle is Methodist. It's a religion that I'm never going to start. That's my music page. And just show me a screenshot, message me through the page and show me a screenshot of your receipt, or just I'll take your word for it. Send me your email. You can write out .com if you're worried about phishing, and I will email you the download of the exclusive mix that only people who bought the book during this time can have access to.
Exactly. So even more reason to get this book, any type of format, is that that was the song that you were just mentioning, right?
Yeah.
The song that we were just talking about. You can get a copy of it, exclusive, if you grab a copy of the book and let her know about it. So please think about grabbing the book, paperback, hardcover. And again, thank you everyone for joining us today. It was such a great time chatting and getting to know these characters and this world. So lots of fun.
Nice to see you, kids.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night. And we will see the next authors in 2 weeks. Bye.